Coming up on Naperville News 17, the downtown parking study results are in. The Morton Arboretum illuminates their grounds, and Cantini decks the halls in the spirit of giving. Hello everyone, I'm Kim Pierce. Thanks for joining us for this week's Naperville News. Naperville City staff completed the Fifth Avenue redevelopment project's parking study and reported back to City Council. Naperville News 17's own Casey Krajewski has their conclusions.
Commuter parking has been one of the primary concerns with the Fifth Avenue redevelopment project for months. Naperville City staff presented their findings from the study at the most recent City Council meeting. While developer Ryan Companies originally included no additional parking, staff recommended adding 250 to 400 additional commuter parking spots into the project. However, some members of council and the public had reservations, worried the demand for parking could decrease as car ownership has for millennials.
I truly believe in the not too distant future that parking garages are going to become like horse watering troughs and hitching posts on Main Street with people scratching their heads and wondering what they were built for.
Though the wait list for a commuter parking space is up to 14 years, many spots sit open every day as people hold on to their permits as an asset.
I completely agree that there is, a functional issue with the way the quarterly permits work and those spaces sit empty. I believe that if all those spaces were daily fee, we'd be close to 100% full every day.
Instead of adding new spaces, some council members felt reworking the current system could open up more spots. That includes incentivizing public transportation.
The cost of the permit to park is less than the cost of a bus ticket. So when we're talking about trying to find people to incentivize them and encourage them to take the bus, economically, it doesn't make much sense to do that. It's clearly far more convenient to park. And if you're going to combine it with the fact that the parking spot is also much less than the bus ticket, why would anybody take the bus?
Council directed staff to consider other options and to communicate with City Advocate S.B. Friedman on this issue to get their opinion.
I like the idea that you're thinking of all these new ways of looking at it, but this would be really a change to add that many commuter spaces to what we have been thinking about. And it may be great for commuters, but I'm not sure it's great for the other stakeholders in this, including the neighborhood.
For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
Council canceled its final budget meeting scheduled for November 26th as they felt it was unnecessary. Black Friday and Cyber Monday might be the two big shopping holidays, but Small Business Saturday is the one to celebrate in our downtown. With over 80 brick and mortar small business locations in downtown Naperville, you're bound to shop or dine at some of them with every visit.
Our small business community is an integral part of what makes Naperville so great. They really are the soul and the fabric of Naperville. Places like Naperville Running Company, Anderson's Bookshop, Dean's Fine Clothing, the list goes on and on. So we really hope that the community chooses to support these small businesses.
And Small Business Saturday is meant to celebrate those businesses that make downtown Naperville unique. Like Black Friday, Small Business Saturday has companies offering special deals and promotions. And local business owners are appreciative of the support they get on that day and throughout the rest of the holiday shopping season.
This is such a great community down here. I think when a lot of the locals just want to support our small businesses because they know when they support the small business stores, they're supporting the community.
Shopping small helps the community by keeping more money circulating in the local economy and creating more local jobs. The Naperville Police Department has a unique program designed to introduce citizens to the different aspects of the department. Naperville News 17's Christine Lena took a trip to the Citizens Police Academy.
Equipment training, canine apprehension,
let me see your hands now. I'm going to send the dog and he's going to bite you.
And narcotics detection.
Good job, buddy.
They're only some of what residents learn about at Citizens Police Academy.
It kind of opens their eyes. A lot of people think they know what we do, and I think you could say that for any occupation out there, but until you walk a mile in their shoes, you really don't understand it. And what we've noticed is people are so overwhelmed with the amount of information and what goes on with policing, it offers them a whole new perspective.
The Naperville Police Department program came to be in the early 90s as a way to increase transparency and interest in how the police work in our community.
I find it fascinating, but I really enjoyed a couple aspects of it. One of them was we did a lot of case studies of how they would get a robbery report, and the police would go to the scene and collect evidence and to finally figure out who did it and then track them down and arrest them, and that was really quite fascinating to see that.
Now in its 34th session, the 9-week program meets once a week with 25 Naperville citizens who get hands-on lessons with professionals in their specialty fields, like Peter Kono, who works with the K-9 unit.
The questions that come up from it are always interesting because people have these ideas in their head of how these dogs, they see them on TV or they hear about them, they're always biting somebody, but in reality they're actually could be very friendly dogs. And it's just taking these dogs from what they're born with, harnessing it, and then teaching them how to use it on command.
While the Academy is currently only held once a year in the winter, there's hopes to add a spring session in the future. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
Although the winter session of Citizens Police Academy is for adults 18 and up, there's a similar program offered in the summertime for youth. More information on that can be found on the Naperville Police Department website. After the break, students explore a future in medicine with those who know it best.
Welcome to Game On!
Since 2001, families and friends have been caught reading Positively Naperville. At home, around town, and all over the world. Thanks for reading, in print and online.
District 203 homeowners should expect their tax rates to decline by about 4%. The Board of Education discussed the anticipated decline at its most recent meeting, where board members were in the early stages of discussing the district's 5-year financial forecast and the 2018 tax levy. 203 property values are anticipated to increase by about 4%, with new property growth estimated to be about $45 million.
If our assumptions hold true, homeowners should expect to see a reduction in their tax rates. Abating the debt service levy in the spring could save the owner of a $410,000 fair market home approximately $133 if the debt service levy is collected.
These estimates were made based on many factors, including prior year's consumer price index and the district's equalized assessed value of homes. The board has recommended to support the 2018 tax levy to the full extent at its meeting on December 17th. Also at the meeting, a discussion on how the Illinois Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly voted on a controversial resolution. The resolution was proposed by downstate school districts to arm teachers and staff in schools. 203's delegate representative was board member Terry Fielden, who spoke about the no vote the resolution received and how he hopes to suggest solutions to those downstate districts going forward.
I think we have to take into consideration that the problem downstate hasn't gone away. And what I'd like to see the board consider, at least at the December 3rd meeting, is that we pick it up again. But this time we draft a resolution that would encourage the state to fund this initiative and to fund either additional resource officers or some sort of law enforcement for rural districts.
The board will further discuss the IASB Delegate Assembly at their next meeting on December 3rd. Also of note at 203, the school district held its inaugural Student Medical Conference. Around 150 high schoolers explored professions in the healthcare industry during the all-day event at NIU's Naperville campus.
Personally, I'm really interested in the medical field, specifically neuroscience, but I don't really know where I want to go with that or do with it. And I thought this would be a great experience to just get to see different health professions and experience kind of what it would actually be like to do it.
No, it was the same for me. I wanted to do nursing for a really long time, but thanks to this, I figured out like there's different options as well, and that nursing's not the only like thing I can go into, and I just really like that.
Students sat in at breakout sessions focused on specific fields within medicine, where they could ask professionals questions and learn about what led them to those careers.
Education for these young kids is really important to me. I do a lot of training and education of students and residents in my own practice where they rotate through and shadow. So I thought an opportunity to come in and educate them about what I do, which is podiatry, which I love very much, was a great opportunity because at this young age, they don't usually get exposed to this type of information to be able to make some decisions where they want to go.
District 203 organizers say with such high interest in the inaugural conference, it's sure to return next year. Edward Hospital is the first in the Chicagoland area to be using a new CPR training machine. CPR certifications normally last 2 years for Edward Elmhurst Hospital workers before they have to get recertified. During that time, they may not have to use the skill at all, which can lead to less effective CPR when it is needed.
Our quality sometimes is not where we want it to be because of training only every 2 years. Studies show that our skills begin to deteriorate within actually 6 months maybe of taking a class. And so this system is going to allow us to practice those skills on a much more regular basis.
The system is a new machine from the American Heart Association Resuscitation Quality Improvement Program. The mobile cart is wheeled to different locations throughout the hospital where it's available for staff to stop by and practice. The machine even gives live feedback on the technique of the user to help them improve.
Compress a little faster. Good.
The hospital is requiring all staff to pass a skills test on the machine every 3 months to stay sharp. By doing so, they'll no longer be required to take a class every 2 years to get recertified. The national in-hospital cardiac arrest survival rate is just 24%, while Edward Hospital's is higher at 42%. They hope this machine raises it further. Since we've already had our first snow of the season, it's clearly time to think about prepping your car for winter. Naperville News 17's Casey Krajewski got some tips.
Like anything left out in the elements, cars experience wear and tear. Getting out ahead of problems between swings in temperature is a smart way to keep your car running.
A lot of people think that winter is what damages your battery. Actually, it's the heat of the summer that damages your battery, and so we recommend doing a battery test. The cold weather requires more energy to be generated to get the engine starting. So now you have a stressed battery, it gets really cold, and you're not able to start the car.
And checking everything on the outside is important too. Windshield wipers work harder in the winter, pushing snow and slush away so you can see where you're going. And speaking of visibility,
headlights that are out or brake lights that are out, you want to make sure that all your bulbs are working, especially when we have more dark hours this time of year. You want to make sure people can see you, especially if there's a blizzard. The last thing you want if you're driving in heavy snow is some poor guy not having a clue that your vehicle is really there until it's too late.
Conway also recommends keeping a safety kit and a blanket in the car in case you do end up getting stuck in the cold. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
One last tip, tire pressure can decrease as temperatures get colder, so it's always smart to check and refill to the recommended pressure. Downtown Naperville's new Christmas tree has been assembled. The lights are now shining on Naperville's new Christmas tree, located where the dandelion fountain runs during the warmer months. It's the city's first artificial tree, picked over a live tree as a cost-saving measure by the Naperville Park District. Even though it's fake, you can expect it to grow another 4 feet from this year to the next, as the Park District is planning to buy a 4-foot extension. The artificial tree is expected to last about 8 years before they need to branch out to a new model. Coming up, a magical holiday season full of new films.
Do you suffer from osteoarthritis, rotator cuff tears, peripheral neuropathy, major ligament injuries, or back and neck pain? If you answered yes, there is a non-surgical treatment option that is eliminating the pain associated with these conditions called platelet-rich plasma therapy. PRP works by harvesting your blood and separating it into smaller components that are injected into the area of injury, aiding the body's natural healing process. Suffer no more. Call us now to see how PRP can help you.
The Morton Arboretum's illumination display is a popular attraction every winter. Naperville News 17's Casey Krajewski shows us the lights.
50 acres of trees, 2 pathways, and countless lights. The Morton Arboretum's illumination offers a unique and interactive experience. This year's display offers multiple new exhibits, including Woodland Wonder, an immersive experience that envelopes visitors in ethereal music and thousands of pinpoints of light.
And the second new feature is called Crown of Light. It is the work of an art collective out of the Bay Area called High by Kozo. It is 5 sculptures about 9 to 12 feet in height, and on each of them is laser cut patterns of different tree leaves. We have oak leaves, ginkgo, and birch.
Light is projected through those laser cut etchings to create eye-catching shadows and beams of light in the sky. And as always, the hands-on effects are some of the most popular parts of the display.
There's really neat interactive effects, and so if you want to hug a tree and watch it change color, or paint a tree with different color, there are dials that you can use to do that, and kids really love that element.
And for those who have never been to illumination, Macmillan has an important piece of advice.
Dress for the weather. It is entirely outdoors. You are walking the path, so we just want to make sure that you are enjoying your experience to the fullest by wearing a nice warm winter coat, hat, boots, gloves, the works.
Plenty of new elements to shine a light on nature. For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
Illumination will remain up until January 1st. Got a bookworm in your life? Our own Becky Anderson shares her top 5 book picks to give as gifts for adults.
These are my 5 top picks for holiday giving for adults. There are so many wonderful books out this season, but these are 5 of my favorites. The first one is Anthony Horowitz's new book, The Word is Murder. And this is about a woman who walks into a funeral parlor. Her name is Diana Cowper. And she has told the people at the funeral parlor that she wants to plan her own funeral. And it isn't a few hours later that she is found murdered. This is one of those books where the plot twists and turns, and you will enjoy every moment of trying to figure out this murder mystery. He's one of the best. New York Times best-selling author, Anthony Horowitz. For all you book group lovers and book lovers, this is the encyclopedia for you to know what to read. And it's James Mustich's book, 1,000 Books to Read Before You Die, a life-changing list. This took him 14 years to write. This has books from children's books, say Harold and the Purple Crayon, up to great classics and great novels to read. But he writes these incredible essays, about maybe 200, 300, 500 words a piece. You can just sit and read those essays that he's written about each of these books. But it makes you realize there are some wonderful books out there, a great reference to have on hand. Another great book, and this is a book you can give to anyone who loves animals, cats, dogs, pigs, snakes, anyone who just loves animals and the difference they make in our lives. This is Cy Montgomery's How to Be a Good Creature. And it's not just being a good creature, it's about how we interact with animals and how they change our lives for the better. She writes so beautifully about why animals are so important in our world and in our lives. She talks about the interaction between humans and animals in such a gorgeous, beautiful way. This is a great book to give to anyone. One of my favorite historical fictions to come out this year. This came out earlier in the fall. This is Daniel Mason's The Winter Soldier. An incredible story about a young man who is of the Polish aristocracy growing up in Vienna. He wants to be a doctor. That is his greatest desire. But for the aristocracy during the time of World War I, that was taking a step down to be a doctor. But he is sent to the Eastern Front in World War I with no experience. He's never touched a real live human being. But it really tells you about the horrors of World War I, but also there's a wonderful romance in this book and the humanness that a young doctor who maybe was self-centered looks to look outward and to really help people. This is one of those books that's so beautifully written that you will really hate to turn that last page, but a book that will stay with you for a long time after you're finished. This book is the one that you'll drool all over the pages. This is a cookbook for anyone who loves Italian food of any kind. An incredible partnership between America's Test Kitchen and National Geographic. This takes you all over Italy, from central to northern to southern to the islands, but it has wonderful stories about the area and the region and about the food and how it ties into its history and its people. If you have someone who loves cookbooks and loves to cook, or just a great book to read about Italy and the wonderful food that comes from that country. So those are my top 5 adult picks for holiday giving. You're going to love them all, and remember that reading is the best activity you can do to bring down your blood pressure and take you away. And like I say, a gift of a book is a gift you can open again and again.
We'll have the top 5 books for kids in a future show. There's no better time to hit up the box office than over those holiday breaks. Our own Christine Lena tells us what's coming to the box office this holiday season.
From sequels to prequels, holiday movies are blasting into theaters soon, and we have the top ticket picks. Web-slinging onto screens on December 14th is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse,
which is an animated version of Spider-Man with fan favorite Miles Morales as Spider-Man instead of Peter Parker. And it has like a really interesting style. It's by the guys who did the Lego movies, and it looks to be really, really cool.
This could literally not get any weirder. It can get weirder.
Going from high-flying to deep diving, Aquaman will bring another comic book adaptation to theaters on December 21st.
It's really crazy to me that there are so many superhero and comic book movies these days that we've now gotten to the point where Aquaman can actually get a huge release like this.
And a prequel that's got a lot of buzz is Bumblebee from the Transformers series.
Bumblebee. There is only one way to end this war.
This one takes place in the 80s and stars Haley Steinfeld as a high school student who gets her first car, which is Bumblebee. And it really seems like a throwback to the original cartoon from the 80s.
But if your family is looking for something more musical, Mary Poppins Returns has Emily Blunt in the famous role, co-starring with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
That's why I live and breathe.
And an adult comedy for Christmas Day stars the comedic duo of Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly in Holmes and Watson.
And here, the team from Step Brothers is turning it into a comedic movie, and I think that could lend itself to some really interesting possibilities while still maintaining the spirit of Sherlock Holmes.
What have you done with Sherlock? Why, Watson? I never left.
Also this Christmas is Vice, which is the new movie by Adam McKay, who did The Big Short, as well as things like Anchorman. And this movie is about Dick Cheney, starring Christian Bale as Dick Cheney in an almost unrecognizable role. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of Oscar nominations associated with this one.
But if you'd like a serious drama, Hollywood veteran Clint Eastwood stars in The Mule as a World War II vet who becomes a drug smuggler.
This is the last one.
Tons of films that will get you soaring into seats this season. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
Off we go.
Keep an eye on the Classic Cinema's website for when Ogden 6 may have some special showings of classic holiday films throughout December. Up next, state champions and national champions will fill you in on who brought trophies to Naperville.
Give the gift of downtown Naperville. Treat someone special to a great shopping, dining, or spa experience with Downtown Naperville gift cards. Good at more than 150 businesses. Purchase them at 4 convenient locations or online and have them mailed directly to the lucky recipients. Best of all, there's no purchasing fee. Just choose an amount and send. It's that easy. The perfect gift for anyone at any time.
It's going to take someplace special to stand out in Freedom Commons, and Shinto Sushi is up to the challenge. You get the highest quality service and amazing ambiance. Shinto Sushi Freedom Commons takes their plate presentation to the next level. From the bento box lunch specials, to the exquisite sashimi plates, to teriyaki platters, to new twists on Japanese classics. Shinto Freedom Commons masters the art of service and Japanese cuisine.
At this year's state girls swimming and diving meet, the Naperville area looked to crown its first state champion since Naperville Central won back-to-back titles in 2004 and 2005. Let's jump into the pool in Evanston. Three-time defending champion Rosary took the lead after the first 7 events, but Neuqua Valley got a historic performance from Rachel Stegg in the 500-yard freestyle. The sophomore touched the wall at 4 minutes, 46.4 seconds, breaking the state record and putting the Wildcats within striking distance. In the very next event, Neuqua won the 200 free relay, taking the lead and getting an assist from the Great Metea Valley relay team, as McKenna Stone touched the wall for second, just ahead of Rosary. It all came down to the final race of the night, the 400 relay. The Wildcats saved their best for last, winning the relay as Metea took second in the relay yet again. Neuqua Valley is the 2018 state swimming and diving champions, a first for the Neuqua Valley program. In the inaugural Carillon Cup Championship between Naperville North, Naperville Central, Neuqua Valley, and the Warriors Hockey Club, Naperville Central and the Warriors find themselves matched up in the final. Let's head to All Seasons Ice Rink where Ryan Risky has the highlight.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I think it's safe to say that the inaugural season for the Carillon Cup was a success. The Warriors Hockey Club and Naperville Central had their fans pack the house here at All Seasons. This was a thriller that would come down to the wire with some fast play throughout the game. Despite the Warriors being the favorite in this one, it was the Red Hawks who got off to the fast start. They led 1-0 at the end of the first period thanks to a goal from Jordan Spitz. And in the second period, Matthew Wadwa would make it a 2-0 score, putting the Warriors on their toes. But Zach Pierce refused to let his team lose as he scored the next 2 goals, including the game-tying goal with 4.5 to play. And the Warriors were able to pack it in from there as they scored 2 more times to take a 4-2 win and win the inaugural championship for the Carillon Cup. The next time we'll see the Warriors and the Red Hawks play will be on January 6th for the Winter Classic. For Naperville News 17, I'm Ryan Risky.
Thanks, Ryan. For more on the Carillon Cup, check out the latest Naperville Sports Weekly that premieres on November 25th. And more championship news, North Central College men's cross country brought home its 19th national championship and the 3rd in a row for the program. The Cardinals had the first and second place finishers in the race, as senior Drewville Patel won the individual national championship, while senior Al Baldonado finished second. Patel is the first national champion for NCC since 2000. North Central had 5 All-American finishers, including Zach Hurd, Matt Osmolsky, and Chris Buchner. Congratulations to Coach Carius and this incredible team. That's it for sports. Back to you, Kim.
Thanks, Stephanie. You can find North Central College Athletics live streams all week long on NCTV 17 and on nctv17.com, starting with the Round 2 playoff football game against Bethel at noon on November 17th and the men's and women's basketball doubleheader beginning at 5 p.m. on December 1st. The Community Trees program at Cantini's McCormick House is underway. 7 local charities were invited by the McCormick Foundation to decorate a Christmas tree that fits with the theme of their organization.
If a charity agrees to participate in this program, the foundation gives them $2,500 for coming here and decorating the tree. And then once the tree is up, folks can come and not only see the tree, but they can also vote on which tree they like the best. And the tree that receives the most votes at the end gets additional $2,500 for their efforts.
And this year, 2 of the charities are Naperville-based. Unity Partnership works to create positive relationships between the police and civilians, and Operation Welcome You Home organizes events of support for soldiers leaving for or returning from active duty.
Here at McCormick House, we know Mr. McCormick was very fond of animals and veterans, and we try to get those organizations that do those types of things here at the house to display that to the folks that come to the house.
There's also a collection box for each organization if museum visitors would like to donate directly to a charity. The trees are on display until December 30th. This is the 9th consecutive year the McCormick House has put on the Community Trees program. And that's what's happening right here in your neighborhood, Naperville. We'll see you next week. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our website, nctv17.com for updates.
This week's Naperville News 17 is brought to you in part by the following sponsors. This program is partially funded by a grant from the City of Naperville.